So today, very excited, converting connections to conversations with LinkedIn. Some of you may have gone through this or similar to this. I've added a little bit to the program, but my goal today is to really help you to leverage LinkedIn and your existing connections to start more conversations, whether it's networking or business development. I also want to make sure that we are engaging, that you are asking your questions. So one of the things you could do is, if you look at the bottom of your Zoom where you would mute and unmute, there's a little circle reaction button. When you click on that, there's a little raise hand. So if you have a question in the middle of me chatting, just raise your hand and I'll call on you. I may also ask you to do a thumbs up to something or put something in chat just to keep kind of the engagement going. But I love when your videos are on because I feed off of your reaction. So if you're like, oh my God, this is so boring, I know to speed it up or change the topic, right? But no, ultimately, I love the engagement. So if you can, your videos on makes a big difference even for me. So you guys all know me. Most of you know me anyway. I'm Bryn Tillman. The number one question I will get in chat is, can I get a copy of this deck? The answer is yes. You can go to socialsaleslink.com/beacon and get a copy of the deck. You can download it. So just so you know, it's socialsaleslink.com/beacon. I'll put it in the chat at the end as well. So let's talk about what social selling is, right? So, we hear this term all the time, but, a lot of people are like, well, I don't know that I want to sell on LinkedIn. Like, that's a little awkward. Well, social selling, from our definition, is about building rapport, providing real value, developing trust and credibility, and being a resource. Understanding that the sale will come when the time is right. So I would say kind of the mantra around Beacon of just connecting and being of value to one another is something that I would just transfer into the digital world as well. So we want to treat the people on the other side of our message the same way we would if they were on the other side of a table, right? So ultimately, we're not looking at all of our LinkedIn connections as leads, but we're looking at them as human beings. So this, I would love to hear from you. What we hear from people in sales all the time. So if you're an entrepreneur, but we're all if we're looking for new business, we're all in sales. I have thousands of connections, but no conversations. If this is you, put a number 1 in chat. Number 2, when I ask for conversations from prospects, I get ghosted. If this is you, put a number 2 in chat. And if you have all of them, that's totally fine. Most people have all of them. Yeah, all of them. Yeah, I got some of that, right? Number 3, I share content, yet no one engages. And everyone says I need to use LinkedIn, but I can't figure out how to do it successfully. So this is what we're hearing all the time when we talk with folks, but they know they need to use it, especially in this hybrid world where so much of our networking is coming from LinkedIn now, or should be, right? So here's what's broken. Profiles are self-centered versus value-centric. So when people show up, all they see is about me, my mission, my passion, this is what I do. These are the years in business I've been, instead of actually being a resource. So when your profile, and we'll go through each of these, but when your profile is a resource, we start to earn the right to get those conversations. Connect and pitch. If you've been a victim of connect and pitch, put a V in chat. Right? So this is someone connects with you, you look at their profile, for whatever reason, you've decided, yes, I will accept their connection. And immediately they go, we help businesses just like you do. Right? It's frustrating. It gives LinkedIn a bad name. And just cold calling in general is interrupting someone's day. But when you enter into someone's network, our valued network, and then we take advantage of that by trying to pitch them before there's absolutely any rapport building, it's broken. So we want to make sure if we're social selling, we're not doing that. Connect and forget. This I've been guilty of. So we've got hundreds, if not thousands of connections, yet we're going out for net new all the time. And we're never really looking back at who are our existing connections that we're ignoring. Random acts of social. This is, I'm getting on every day. And sometimes I share content. Sometimes I engage on content. I accept a connection or ask someone to connect, but there's really no process around that. We're going to talk about what process could look like. Post and ghost. I put something out and I never go back. So I get 3 likes and maybe 2 comments, but I never react to them. And then when we do that, people stop engaging with us. So, and one of the biggest mistakes people make, even if they're really good at commenting on comments, they never reach out to the people that reacted, the likes, the comments, or at least take inventory of who's liking. I mean, just the likes, the reactions. They have it could be a like, a celebration, curious, but any of those reactions, sometimes we look at them but we do nothing with it. And these are people that engaged on our content. We need to take a look at them and say, are these people I want a conversation with? Because it's like they made eye contact with you across the room. That's what a good reaction is. Am I going to walk up and say hi? Am I going to start a conversation with them? I could just kind of wave and walk away and not start a conversation. So you don't have to with all of them, but we have to start really paying attention to who's engaging with us and then engage back if it makes sense. Sharing topics we want to talk about, not what they want to consume. This is a big deal. I have a financial professional client who started to share content and was getting it was Market Watch and getting lots of engagement. And when we looked at who's engaging, it was all other financial advisors, not prospects. And so, we took a step back and said, you're sharing content that you care about. So people like you care about. But if you want to talk with business owners, not most of them aren't going to care about the financial markets today. Some might, but generally that's not what's attracting them. Cold calling on LinkedIn. I mean, that's kind of the connect and pitch, but it's like, let's connect with as many people as possible and hope that someone turns to a conversation, and not leveraging referrals and permission to name drop. So these are the things that are broken. So let's fix these. We want to start with, what does it take to get a conversation? And I use the term earn the right. This is so critical. I can't tell you how many people will come up, or in a conversation with me and say, if they would just take my call, I bring so much value to the table. And maybe you do. And maybe even if they don't hire you, a conversation with you would be a huge benefit to them. But they don't know it yet. You haven't earned the right. They don't understand the value that you bring because you haven't done a very good job, if this is the case, if they're not taking your call, of sharing the insights and the value that you bring. So we'll talk about that. Mastering the ask-offer ratio is critical to starting a conversation. So the content that we share, even in our profile, I consider that content, is we are asking them to consume something in return for their time. So that there's value to their time. Even if it's 90 seconds, there's value to their time. So when we ask them to consume content that we share, or we invite them to connect with us and visit our profile, right? We're asking them to invest their time. And at the end of that invested time, there's one of 3 reactions. The first one is, that was a bait and switch. And that's when we're victims of, connect with me and then I pitch you. Or I get to your profile and it's a pitch deck, or it's just your resume. That was not a great use of my time as a potential buyer. There's neutral, and this is where most profiles fall and most content. Neutral doesn't hurt your reputation, but it doesn't convert your connections to conversations, which is now our goal. So where we want to be is compelling, right? We need to be, be a resource. Like, this has to be a real resource, but the content that we share needs to be compelling. Compelling means they react, they engage, they comment. They connect with you. They accept your connection request. If we cannot create a compelling moment, we can't start a conversation because we don't know who they are. So our goal, what does it take to get a conversation? The first step is to convert our lurkers to engagers. Because how many of you, and you can use your little reaction button to do a thumbs up if this is you, how many of you have put out a piece of content, you got 350 views, but only 3 likes? So there are, 347 people that didn't react that we can't engage with because we don't know who they are. So you're never going to get that many more. But, if we could double it or triple it or, whatever it might be, get to 10% and have 35 people to engage with. Well, now our content is working for us. The goal with this is our content needs to lead to our solution, not with our solution. When we're leading with our solution, it's coming across as a pitch. Even if you think by you telling them how you can help them or how you serve them, you think that that's value, they don't. And what really matters is how they feel. So leading to our solution is about kind of breadcrumbs of resources that get them go, oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Oh, I want more of that. And you also start to show up as the subject matter expert when you do this versus the gal or the guy that pitches. So how do we do this? How many of you know, I'm going to ask this little trivia question in chat. Who coined the phrase, all things being equal, people do business with and refer people they know, like, and trust? Does anyone know who coined that phrase? So I'll leave that open in chat. I'll tell you at the end of this slide, but everyone knows the phrase, right? People do business with people they know, like, and trust. It's probably one of the most famous sales, one of the top famous sales quotes of all time. But on LinkedIn, how do we get to know, like, and trust? No one is at, let me see. So Bob Berg. Yes. Good job. Wait, who said it first? Let's see. Fred Kaplan. Good job, Fred Kaplan. I wasn't prepared with a prize, but reach out. We'll figure something out. Bob Berg is correct in the book, Endless Referrals. Stephen Covey actually does talk about it in one of his books, Know, Like, and Trust. And so does Stephen Hyman from Miller Hyman. But Bob Berg was the original there. So how do we get to that? Attract, teach, and engage. On LinkedIn, we get to know. That's where how do we get people to know? Like in a networking meeting, we can walk up to someone, we have a conversation, we get to know them pretty quickly. On LinkedIn, it's a little more challenging. So we have to attract them in one way or another, whether it's through content or connection request. We need to teach them something new and engage with them. And that's how they get to know, like, and trust us on LinkedIn. So it starts with your profile, converting that from a resume to a resource. So the goal of your profile, and I have this as the goal of your profile, but quite honestly, this is the goal of any content that we want to convert to a conversation. It needs to resonate with your buyers. They show up and go, ooh, she works with me. He works with people like me. You need to create curiosity, get them to lean in and go, this is worth reading further. Now we get into resource. Teach them something new. If we want to create business development opportunities, if the goal of these conversations really is to attract our targeted buyers, we and most of them, by the way, are not shopping our services. We need to get them thinking differently about their current situation. We need to really butt up against their status quo. And the way we can do that is by creating these moments. And then we need to get them to raise their hand asking for more. And we need to make it easy for them to do that. So the first thing I want to talk about is the cover story. How many of you have a cover story? Put C in chat if you have a cover story. Put a question mark in chat if you don't know what a cover story is. So a cover story is literally a 30-second video that goes behind your profile picture. So if you get to somebody's profile and there's an orange circle around their picture, if you wait 3 seconds, a little video will play for about 2 seconds. And then if you click on that, you can have up to a 30-second video. I actually tell people make it 29 seconds because if it's 30.01 seconds, it gets rejected. So look at it as a 29-second video. This is kind of your, I hate to use the word elevator pitch, but it is. It's like if you stand up in a room and introduce yourself, what do you say? Put that behind a video. This creates a real human to human connection. You can visit mine after the, that is a good market for Neil, actually. If you visit my profile, you can see the video running. This is a huge opportunity to really connect with your profile visitors. I have record on mobile. So you don't really have to record on mobile. You have to upload it from mobile. There is no way to upload a video from desktop. That has been my clients' biggest challenges, even when they get them professionally done, getting it downloaded on the phone and then uploaded. You can do it. It does work. You save it to your photos and you can get it to work. But cover story is a big deal. Then there's the headline. And for you guys that have gone through any of my training, you've heard this 1,000 times, probably. I know there's lots of people that have been through my training, but this headline should not be your title and company name. No, it doesn't create those compelling moments. So make sure you're including who you help, how you help them, the results you bring, and what you do. So for example, I have, if I had CEO at Social Sales Link, nobody would care. But if transforming the way professionals sell by converting connections to conversations, the program you're in. LinkedIn and Sales Navigator training, profile development, e-learning and coaching membership, host of the Making Sales social podcast, which all of you should definitely subscribe to. But at the end of the day, the goal of this headline is to create enough curiosity that it's worth reading. So if I have someone visit my profile and they don't want to convert their connections to conversations and I don't resonate with them and I don't create curiosity, then that's fine. But if they do, they'll keep reading. Next is the summary. And most people have mission, passion, years in business. But we haven't earned the right yet. And this is the opportunity for us to convert from that resume to a resource. Add the challenge your buyers are going through. Add some insights, right? So I talk about the 5-step framework to mastering LinkedIn for social selling, right? And people will come back to me. I'm educating, but they're like, I need to do that. So this is a critical moment right now that I want you to see. The goal is to teach them enough to get them wanting more, but that they don't feel like you pitch them. So I don't say, we help people convert their LinkedIn profile from a resume to a resource. The difference is we teach them by providing insights and value rather than your mission, passion, and years in business. You position yourself as a subject matter expert and thought leader, not simply a salesperson. Okay, so that's what I tell them. That is education, right? It's a mindset shift. I'm teaching them something new, but enough for them to say, that's not my profile. I need to talk to Bryn. But I didn't say we do this, right? Do you guys see the fine line between we do this and the education piece? It makes a huge impact. This is so many years ago, probably it was before, just so many years ago, maybe 10, one of my biggest top 3 Philly companies that I sold in the very early days was SunGard. And I won't go through the whole story of how I found them, but when I was having a conversation with my champion, She's like, my boss, we hired people to come in and train. It was a big fail. They didn't learn anything. We spent too much money. They're not interested. And after back and forth, I finally said, can you just get your boss to read my profile? And she did and said, my gosh, we learned more from your profile than the vendor we just fired. So I want you to think about how important this is. And so then SunGard became my client. All right. Featured section. This is a scroll stopper. This is the visual section that should be a resource. You can connect your posts. So if you post something and it's getting lots of engagement and it's interesting, you can actually just click a little feature this in the featured section and the post will show up. And then it's dynamic. So I have 100 reactions, but if I get 101, someone else reacts, this will update. Articles. These are like internal LinkedIn blogs. Most of us aren't doing this, but you can link those. External links to blogs. Just make sure that there's a really good hero image to come up visually, and you can upload ebooks or PDFs or anything here. Just make sure it's a resource, not just a white paper. And your experience. This is really important. Instead of what you do, talk about your story and how you help. If they're still reading, now it's time for them to connect with you as a human. Then you can talk about the company and its mission and the solutions you offer. And make sure you have recommendations. Recommendations is a huge social proof. It's even stronger than your quotes on your website because it clicks through to the actual person and they can see their company and who they are. So really very important. All right. So before we go to the next section of nurture your existing network, do we have any questions?
Hey, Brent.
Hi, Joe. And this is fine. You can talk, but for everyone else, if you have a question, go down to the little reactions button and raise your hand so I could take you in order. But we definitely know. Okay, Joe. And that's actually a clap, which is great. The little bar below that is raise hand. So like Ken did, and he goes right to the top. So Ken, I am going to take Joe first, and then I'll go back to you. Thanks. Hey, Joe, go ahead.
Brent, that question, can you actually ask your connections for recommendations?
Sure, all the time. You can actually go to their profile, click on the more button and say, ask for recommendation, but I'd have a conversation first. So okay. I wouldn't just blindly reach out. So I might go and say, Harriet, I really loved working with you. The videos came out great. And I'm glad things are going well. Are you open to writing a little recommendation? I can even kind of write a little paragraph for you and send it to you to make it easier. And you can edit it any way you'd like. Would you be open? Right. So that might be the conversation. So if she says, yes, that's great. Then I would write it. She could copy and paste it and edit it. And I make it really easy. But I would never just send that to her without having the conversation first.
Thank you.
Awesome. Ken.
Hi, Bren. Nice to see you and hear you again.
I know it's been in quite a few months.
It has been, but I've been seeing your grandchild on Facebook, so I've been enjoying those as well. Just real quick about the recommendations. I typically do talk with my clients about writing them, and it's hard sometimes because people are humble, but then you'll get exactly what you want. So, and it makes it easier for people. People appreciate that.
Absolutely.
But my question to you is regarding the headline. I know I get the point of tell them what you can do for them, but also I've heard, we hear a lot about attracting people through keywords and your headline being an important part. How do you mix and match those two?
Keywords, I think, is so secondary. I mean, very few people, no one, but very few people are searching for their next vendor on LinkedIn. That said, if I do have keywords in there, I have LinkedIn training, I have Sales Navigator, I have them in there. I think for search engine optimization, more people are Googling for people like that, right? So take advantage of the LinkedIn articles, the blogs in LinkedIn, because Google deeply indexes those. So absolutely. So that to me, finding content through the blogs inside of LinkedIn, they have terrible engagement on LinkedIn, but Google loves them. I have a blog on that's from 2017, and I have like over 120,000 views to it, not because of LinkedIn, but because of Google. So if you really want to do search engine optimization, make sure you're taking advantage of the articles on LinkedIn and also the skills. That whole section was designed for search for recruiters. So if you really want to take advantage, and the last piece is the position title. So it more important than the headline. And if someone is looking for someone, in LinkedIn will look at their title over their headline. Headline, not saying that the headline keywords don't matter, but not nearly as much as the title. So in my title, I don't just have CEO. I have CEO, LinkedIn training, Sales Navigator training. And there is a little, I hate to use the word hack, and Ken, we can definitely talk offline, but you can have more than one position at your company. So if you have lots of different solutions, add them each as a title, and that will have a huge impact on your search engine optimization. Okay, cool. Next is, so we're going to talk about engaging our network. We're going to spend today on you, your first, well, we just did you. That was your profile. First degree connections. These are the people we're already connected to or newly connected to. And then our second degree connections, the friends of our friends. So we need to know who we've been ignoring. How many of you put, yes, me, are just connect and forget? We just connect. Yeah, and go ahead and put in chat. You could put yes or whatever we might want. Look, I have 30,000 connections, which sounds absurd, but I've been doing this a really long time, and this is what I do. I need to take inventory because I'm missing people. And here's the other thing. Here's the other thing is LinkedIn tells us there is a 20% turnover year over year. So the people that we're selling to are moving. They're in new companies, and we need to really keep track of what's going on. Now, I'm just going to tell you a quick little story. What I'm about to show you, Michelle Vincent, one of my clients, did in April 2020. I mean, but this is my favorite of the stories. They're a staffing company. Can you imagine, of all the companies that it was a disaster in the beginning of the shutdown, was staffing. So she did this. She took inventory, and we're about to show you how to do this, of her existing connections, recognized an old client was at a new company, reached out, and was able to place so many folks that it was a $1.5 million deal that is now over $3 million. Because she recognized that an old client was at a new company. And she sent me an email that said, thanks for paying for my daughter's college tuition, her commission. So we've got lots of success stories around that. It's still my favorite. So who do we want to have conversations with? I talk about clients, prospects, and referral partners. These are the primary people that we should be talking to. How many of you have ever exported your connections? So here are the steps. Now this is where people say, ooh, can you send me the deck? Right? Because they're like, ooh, I want to see how to do this. I'm going to I should have had a copy and paste ready. I'm going to put a social sales link.com/beacon. All right. I just put it in chat. These steps are in the deck. So you can have these, or you can take a screenshot if you want, but you can download your connections into an Excel spreadsheet. You're going to get first name, last name, random emails, because they have to opt into this, company name, title, and the date you connected. I like to create a column in the left-hand side. And so, by the way, date you connected. So the most recent is at the top. So if you do this and you look over, maybe every 2 months you do this, just remember that, what was the last date you did this, and you can see all the new people. So I put a column in the left-hand side I put CPR. So yes, we're breathing life back into our connections, but we're identifying clients, partners, and prospects and referral partners. Once we do this, we're going to show you ways to start conversations with them in just a minute. But we have to take inventory. The other way we can take inventory is we can actually search our connections in LinkedIn. On the search bar, if you click and hit enter and then hit all filters, there's tons of filters, titles, keywords, location, relationship, right? And we can search with first degree connection. We can also search, we'll show you and tell you in a bit about secondary, but first degree connection. So if I want to see all my CPAs, I can search my connections and see all my CPAs. So then I go, oh, Fred Kaplan is top on my list, right? CPA firm, right? Fred, did I get that right? I said it and then I'm like, okay. So anyway, so we can find the people. We've got all these lists and this list of all these people that meet our criteria. We can start a conversation with them. We can also find companies that we have a connection in. And this is something that's totally underutilized and one of my favorite features on LinkedIn. So we can actually, if we go into search and hit enter and hit companies and then all filters, we can choose company size. So if you sell to companies between 201 to 5,000 people, we can choose the size company. We can choose the industry we want to sell into. We can choose location as we could say greater Philadelphia area, or I can put in Bluebell, Fort Washington, Ambler, and I can choose very localized location. If it's got a zip code, you can add this. And then at the very bottom, there's a first degree filter. And we get a list of all the companies in our network, all the companies where we already have at least one person working there. So if you prospect by company, put a C in chat. This is one of the most powerful tools for us for prospecting. A lot of people know how to search by person, but to be able to search by company is incredibly powerful. All right, so what kind of conversations do we want to have with our clients? First is retention and more business, right? That's the first. I want to make sure that I've solidified this, this client. So really first thing, so that's good. Challenge, first degree company is that it reflects former employees quite often. Only if they haven't updated their profile, that would be true. So I just saw that come through. So, okay, what do we want from our clients? Retention, more business, internal introductions. I'm going to go back to that stat by LinkedIn, 20% turnover year over year. So if that's the case, we need to go deep and wide inside of our clients and know more than just our champion and really build relationships with more than just the person that we're talking to. Because when they leave and the new person comes in, we'll be more vulnerable if we don't have other relationships inside the company. External. This is, if you've taken my class, this is where I spend so much time working with my clients for them to identify who their clients know so they can ask for referrals. So identifying that just searching, and when you do that people search, there's a filter that says connections of. So I could go in and I could type in Harriet Stein and all my other things, and I could see all of Harriet's connections. So, and then I could say, Harriet, of these 72 people, no, not that many, but of these, 16 people, who on this list do you think I should talk to, right? And now we can proactively either get referrals or permission to name drop. We'll talk about that. Recommendations and case studies. We talked about this in the profile. We want to make sure we're getting that social proof from our clients. And vendor introductions. This is another area that I really stress that people just don't do enough of. We've got lots of referral partners. I mean, my gosh, we're here with Beacon. There are lots of networking partners, people that understand the value of a network. But what we don't do is meet the other people inside. So Amy Anderson is doing the books for ABC Company, right? And she's in there, but there's a payroll person and there's a CRM person that also works with that HR person that she's working with, or the CEO. And there's maybe a tax attorney that they're working with. These are great referral partners because they sell it. They don't compete with her, but they sell into similar companies. So when you have a relationship with these folks, first of all, you can feel good if your client loves them making that recommendation because they came in with credibility from a shared client and they can introduce you. So if you are not having conversations with your current clients about who else they're buying from and either getting introductions or having them just pass on the names, you're missing a huge opportunity to grow relationships with ideal referral partners. What conversations you want to have with prospects? This is where it's a slippery slope. If someone reaches out to you and says, I'd like to learn more about what you do, that's a discovery call. But if you are engaging with them, if they are a first degree connection, and we've identified we want to start a conversation with them, we don't want to start with a pitch. It's a mistake. They're not actively looking for your solution. You're going to lose out on a ton of potential opportunities because they go, not interested right now. So we want to start conversations around insights, around whether it's benchmarking in the industry or the things that we're seeing. And if you can go one step deeper in like, who are their clients, right? So maybe Amy wants to get into doing more books for life coaches. I don't know, I'm making it up, right? So she wants to do, she can go find lots of content about life coaches, no problem, right? So she can do that. And, and she can share that with them. But life coaches know a lot about life coaches. But maybe life coaches are selling to entrepreneurs that are stressed. And by the way, if that's the case, talk to Harriet because she helps people unstress. But right. So now, but maybe she would do this. This would be a perfect example. Now I go to Harriet and say, Harriet, what information, what content, what insights do you have on being less stressed? So instead of Amy going out and pitching and starting a conversation around bookkeeping, she can start a conversation online about, my friend Harriet just posted this incredible video on how to be more mindful when, when you're feeling stressed at work, and how to, so I don't know, Harriet, if I got that, I don't know, I might have missed the mark a little bit. I don't know. But the point is, she's not starting a pitch conversation. She's bringing value. And often we want to bring third-party value. I share lots of podcasts with people, and I start the conversation there and then move into bringing insights around what I do. So the conversation essentially is, hey, I can bring value, I can offer some insights, and then we're closing if there's an opportunity for a discovery call. This is not your discovery call, but we open it with, this is leading to us, not with us, right? What conversations do you want to have with vendors and partners? Referral conversations. We want to search their connections just like we do with our clients. Build a list of people that they know, invite them to build a list of people that go through our connections, bring the list to your virtual coffee, or maybe you're meeting for lunch, review the list and make some meaningful introductions for each other. So, I skipped ahead. There's a whole slide that told you that. So search their connections, invite them to do the same, review when you're together and make those introductions. All right, quick little easy. We take inventory, we go through our spreadsheet, and I see, let's see, who else can Jerry Lance. Hi, Jerry, how are you? So I see, Jerry Lance is really good at storytelling. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to give him a kudos for great story, really innovation, doing good. And I haven't talked to Jerry in a while, and I want to start a conversation with Jerry. but I give him a public kudos for being really innovative. And he's like, oh my God, Bryn, how are you? Right? We start this conversation again. And he's like, wow, she remembers how awesome I am. That's awesome. So we can start conversations with these first degree connections around it. Jerry, did I get that right? All right, good. I was like, it's been a while. I hope I'm nailing some of these, right? So I can also go out and endorse, right? So I can go out and and endorse Taylor Fernley for being a great CEO coach, right? Like, and then I endorse him for that. And he's like, wow, that's great, Bryn. How are you? It's been a while. The key is you've got to know what they do well. You want to make sure that you've experienced that. Like I've experienced you guys. I know, if I wanted to start a conversation with many of you, I feel comfortable endorsing you for some of this stuff because I know who you are and I know what you do. Don't do this randomly and don't be inauthentic about it. Engage on their content. People share content because they want you to engage. So go out. If they look at their content, you can go to their profile, look at their activity, click on posts. If there's something worth engaging, then you start the conversation. You read the content, you put a good comment, and then I reach out and go, Mark, it's been a while since we talked. I love that content that you shared about, how CEOs can be much more effective in their business. I got a lot of great insights from that. It's been like, I'd love to reconnect and learn a little bit more about what you're doing around that. Then you're like, oh, Bryn, how are you? It's been a while. That's pretty good. And I'm really excited to talk about the topic I shared about because I shared about it. Right. So keeping in mind, right? Tactics for starting a conversation. Another one, give them the gift of content, but someone else's content, not yours. I kind of jumped ahead when I talked about it just because it kind of mashed in, but when you give someone somebody else's content, it's a gift. When you give someone your content, it's seen as a pitch. I have about 5 podcasts that I go back to all the time that I share that I know are fabulous. Not mine. I'm not on it, but they're really good and valuable to the people that I want to start a conversation with. Ask them their point of view on a post. Hey, I just posted, 5 ways to rethink your business. And as a CEO in the Philadelphia area, I'd love your view on this, right? So Mark puts that out and now he's engaging with CEOs and he starts to see like some engagement and it's not leading with his solution, it's leading to his solution, right? So he's engaging these CEOs that want to rethink their business and he's going to get innovative with them, but he's not leading with that. And he gets their thoughts on innovation. So are they open to innovation or closed? Because why would I bother if they're not interested? So starting a conversation around that. Create a poll that asks a compelling question and ask for their vote. What's your number one priority? Maybe Harriet might say, what is your number one stress factor at work? And then boom, boom, boom. And then number 4 should always be other sharing comments because you'll frustrate people that have a different answer if you don't do that, FYI. Right. And so now they vote and she can see how they voted. If she posts the poll, only she can see it. So now she can look through and the number one, maybe the number one stress factor they see is I'm very distracted by my phone. So now she could say, hey, I've got some tips for you about how to be less distracted by your phone at work. It might be instead of stress factor, your number one distraction, because I think that would be mine, by the way. So if you have any tips, send them my way. Interview them on Zoom or LinkedIn Live. Actually, Mark and I talked about this yesterday about LinkedIn Live. You can interview people. You can actually make this a podcast at one point if you're interested, right? And so he does some coaching, right, for folks. And so one of the things we talked about is do a live coaching session with someone on LinkedIn Live. How cool is that? they get value from it. You get content and you start to build rapport with them. And if they like you, they'll want more, and other people get to experience it. So Mark, I hope you do it. Tactics for starting a conversation: send them a personalized video message on mobile. How many of you done this? Put a V in chat if you have sent a video message. Oh geez, on your phone. See how distracted my phone makes me? Proof positive, right? Put a video message. It's so personal. People really connect with you. All right, how am I doing on time? I'm good. Content to conversations. Any questions before we continue? I'd love to open this up. Wait, and I might have missed some in chat. 10% referral fee to monetize professional services. Thoughts? I'm just going to put out there, I have an affiliate link for like my membership and for other things. And there's a 10% fee. I would not offer that across the board, but if you build a relationship and you both decide that it makes sense, it's fine. But I wouldn't start a relationship talking about your referral fee. I'd have that at the back end. Once you've built rapport, you want to refer them, they're going to refer you. Maybe you wait for the first referral and then go out and say, I'm happy to pay 10% on that. Is that something, that you want to do 2 ways, whatever that is? Great. But I wouldn't lead with that. Wait, who asked that? That was Sam. Sam, does that answer your question? BombBomb is good too. But the nice thing about the video on mobile is there's no third party. So you just record and go. Harriet.
Quick question for you, because I have been doing what you have suggested to me over the last several years, and it actually works. Big surprise.
Oh, thank goodness.
But here's the thing. I posted something, my college roommate and I invented a Girl Scout cookie. So it's been getting a lot of traction on LinkedIn. Right?
Like really invented one?
We did it back in 1977, right? It's like one of the big, we signed a release with Keebler. We didn't know what we were doing. We were 18. Okay, so here's the thing. Yes, I'm getting a lot of traction from first degree connections, but the second degree connections, I don't have Sales Navigator and I don't know how to connect with my second degree connections. Sometimes I cheat and I go to their profile and I look and I see if we're in the same group so that I can maybe send.
So I'm just going to share with you, there's a back door.
That's what I wanted to know.
There's a more button. If you click on the more button, there will be a connection. Connect.
No, if I don't want to connect with them, I just want to message them or talk to them. I don't want to necessarily connect with all the second. Should I be connecting with the second degree connections?
That engaged on your post?
Yes.
Are they the right people?
Great question.
Okay. Yeah. So not all of them,
right.
But if it's the right person and they liked your post.
Okay. All right.
100%. Thanks so much for liking my post. I looked at your profile. I really loved what you engage on their content a little bit, right? I really loved X, Y, and Z. I invite you to visit my profile. If you think it makes sense, I'd love to connect.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, we at Beacon will now send you a check for that answer. So thank you.
It's awesome.
You can put up your Venmo as your last slide. So
what's that?
Put up your Venmo as your last slide.
At Bryn Tillman, really easy. Okay, Mark.
I just thought of a question and I don't know if you've ever encountered this, but I'm guessing a lot of the people on the call, maybe a lot of your clients, one of the things, the kinds of people they want to connect with may be people who have just changed jobs, like a recruiter or things like that, and so I was thinking, if you said maybe you download your contacts every couple of months. Have you ever gone to the next step with clients, or is there a way to do that where you can download and then you can sort of create an Excel database where you can compare and figure out who has changed jobs in the last 2 months or the last time you downloaded? Have you thought about that?
You're really smart, and I bet you could do that. I am sure some kind of Excel query could absolutely do that. I have no idea how. But
Okay,
if you do, I would buy it.
got it. Okay.
Amy.
So I'm going to say two things to the prior two people. Mark, I can definitely help you with that. And
How do you do that?
Yeah. What?
How are you going to help him?
It's 2 downloads, 2 compares, and you've got now a list of those people. And it's
So if this doesn't equal this, it shows up.
If it's a change, then you say, yep, it's different, and then you can have that information and then show who the person is now versus the other one. It's a compare. It's very easy.
Can you send those steps to me too?
What we will do is we'll develop it for Mark, and then he can sell it, and I'll get 10%.
Yeah, but
Amy,
I think I should get
you
it.
should sell it, and I'll get the 10% because,
There you
you know.
Okay.
By
go.
15.
I think I should just have it as a gift. But go ahead, Amy. What's your second thing?
The second one is with Harriet, because of Girl Scout cookies, and I think that was absolutely marvelous how you brought in, back in 1997 when, it was so personal and everything else and so business oriented. And that's actually my question to you, Bryn, is how much, you've got Facebook for personal and some business and things like that. Where do you see LinkedIn? Because I enjoy doing personal stuff there too, because I think it brings out the whole authenticity. So
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
on
fine.
this?
I would maybe 1 out of 10 or 15 posts. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want to, we want to make sure that you're showing up as the subject matter expert. But, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had 2 posts that, one of them that was my probably best post ever, which was my 10-year anniversary of being a breast cancer survivor. Right. And that was like people didn't know that about me. And like, I had people that connected with me that are like, oh, I'm 7 years, I'm 15 years, right? Like I had other connections around that. And the other one was about my boys and a milestone with them. And I don't share a lot. I didn't even share when my grandbaby was born, but when she does, and then this is me, I tend to relate it back to business or a tip. So I talked about how being a breast cancer survivor made me fearless in becoming an entrepreneur. Because what's the worst that can happen, right? Like after you've already faced potential death, being an entrepreneur is easy, right? So I kind of brought that so I still tend to bring the personal stories back to business in some way or another, but people do like to connect with people as long as it's not complaining. It's a very positive spin on something, and it connects with human beings. I think it's a good thing.
Hey, Bryn.
Yeah.
It's Harriet. Since it's LinkedIn related, I would like to add why I did that for Amy, because some people would look at that and just think it was a fun thing. I tagged in my college, and because of that post, I ended up connecting with the president of the college. So I'm trying to get business with my college, because that's the #1 group that is affected by the pandemic are those people 18 to 24. So that was actually very strategic. I did it for both reasons.
Love that. And so that's what I try to do too when I have those personal. That's awesome. Awesome. But people will connect with you more personally, and people that have read that forever will remember you. Will remember you were innovative. And so what was the cookie?
We kept freshman year, we kept putting peanut butter on the chocolate graham cracker. So we wrote to Keebler and we said they should have the chocolate graham cracker or the graham cracker with peanut butter and coated in chocolate. So we didn't mess
That's
up.
my favorite.
That's always been, it's the #1 biggest one for over 40 years.
Oh my God, you would
We have
be a
the release form.
millionaire.
We have the release form from Keebler. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. Sad.
All right. It's a great story. Hopefully it'll turn into business elsewhere. That's awesome. I love that. Okay, content. 74% of buyers choose the sales rep. I can't change sales rep. It's a study. That was first to add value and insight. But 3/4 of people choose the business, the person who's bringing value and insight. So when I'm talking to typical salespeople, now as most of us are entrepreneurs, we're not faced with this, but typical salespeople will say, oh, it's too expensive. It's that. It's not. It's value and insight. So if you want the competitive edge, bring value. There are 3 types of content that I believe, the 3 types of content that you can, that start conversations, right? Curated content, other people's content, original content, and you can share back a company's content. This is something I think is really important, and we should be doing all 3 of these. How do we get the content to them? One to many. I post my Girl Scout cookie post. One to few. I've identified 15 people that I want to get this post. So I send it to my alumni at the college, right? I've identified the people that I want to get it to. That's one to few. My bankers typically will look for CPAs, or payroll people, right? Or tax attorneys, who are people that would get value from it. And we tailor a message, but it's pretty templated. It might be, name, paste, send, one to many, and then one to one. This is where I really, where it's just really personal, right? So, where I go, Amy really loved the content that you shared on this. Like, there's no way that was a template because it was specific. This is where that video message is very, very powerful. So how do we start a conversation from curated content? I recently came across an article on ABC and thought, as a CEO in the XYZ industry, you might get some value from it. The most interesting insights I gleaned were DEF and GHI. If you're interested, let me know. I'm happy to send a link. I don't send the link. People feel spammed when you send the link. Ask permission. It also starts the conversation. If I send a link, they have the link. They don't need to respond back. But I believe there's a little FOMO in that. Oh, I want to glean insights from DEF and GHI. Go ahead, Amy. What's your question?
Are you sending this through LinkedIn, or are you sending it via email by getting their email on their profile?
Yeah, I do LinkedIn, but you could definitely send it an email if that's what you want to do. But I teach LinkedIn, so I send it on LinkedIn.
Okay.
This is your, wait, which one is this? This is, from their own content. So Google them. If you're going after a bigger company, Google them, click on the news and find something positive. I recently came across an article congratulating your company for the community service they did over the last few months and was quite impressed. I'm not sure if you had a chance to read it yet, as I often find, CEOs can miss their own press. Either way, I thought I'd send it and say congratulations. I will send the link here. It's their content. They won't feel spammed when you're sending their own press release. So often I'll get back, oh, thanks so much. I did see it, but I appreciate it. But you get a response because it's their content. Sometimes I get, oh my gosh, I missed that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Now we have a conversation started. My favorite is a poll. As an expert in field, I'd appreciate your one-click vote on a poll I recently published. I'm conducting a quick benchmark study on topic, and your perspective would be valued. Once the poll ends, you'll receive a notification of the results, and I will share the insights we glean from it as well. Thanks in advance for your participation. They actually do get the poll populated into their inbox, but it's not just a blank, like they see the poll, and it doesn't feel as spammy as if you sent a link to your blog post. It's a poll. We get great response on this and huge engagement. And if you ask the right poll and the right people, I have one client that all of his prospects he's just doing a poll twice a month, every 2 weeks. And every prospect that's coming in is coming from polls. That's all he's doing. All right. I'm going to quickly run through this, and this is in the deck that you have, which is socialsaleslink.com/beacon. This is how to create the poll, how to identify your first degree connections that you want to vote, and when they vote, what to do. I am not going slide by slide. You have this, but literally, this is exactly what to do to start your poll and how to get it in front of them, and exactly what to do. Okay. So you have, offered a call to review the results. Remember the message that we sent to them was, I'm happy to share the insights we glean. So now you reach out and tell them what you've gleaned. All right. How are we doing? Referrals and permission to name drop. This is kind of the pièce resistance. I said that wrong. I'm not good at French. This is the good stuff. You like the other stuff. This is the stuff that converts right away. So leverage your second degrees, your networking partners and your clients. You can search second degrees, filters, identify shared connections, reach out, ask them if they can review the names with you. We can also, for client referrals, make sure you've connected to every single client. You're searching their connections. You're making a list of who they know. You're reviewing the list with them. And you're even getting referrals or permission to drop their name. Right? So, client conversation. So I might say, who did I not call on? Neil. Let's do Neil. Neil, I'm so glad we've been able to help you solve X for you and your company. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the way I've typically grown my business has been from warm introductions from my happy clients. I happen to notice you're connected to 8 people on LinkedIn I'd love to get in front of. Can I run these names by you? Your happy client will say, sure. I didn't ask for introductions, right? So I run them by and 8 becomes 5. Neil, I appreciate you taking the time to review these names. Would it be okay when I reach out to these 5 people that I mentioned that you're my client and that we had this call? And I send connection request. And I say, Fred, Neil, and by the way, I will specifically say Neil Perry first. So when Fred opens this up, he doesn't know who I am yet, but the first thing he sees is our shared connections name. He's more likely to not think it's spam, right? So Fred, Neil Perry and I were chatting the other day. Your name came up in our conversation and he thought it made sense for me to introduce myself. Kindly visit my profile. If you agree, let's connect. My profile is positioned to be a resource. I want to get Fred there before we talk because the goal of that profile is to get him to want more. So now he's more likely to want the conversation. Fred connects. Thanks for connecting. I'd love to jump on a call and loop you in what Neil and I were discussing. Let me know your preferred way to schedule. If it happens to be via calendar link, here's mine. Some people are insulted by the calendar link, especially when you're, they're like, well, I have to do the work. So that's why I will now always say, let me know your preferred way to schedule. It happens. If it happens, that's a spell. Didn't pick it up. Got to fix that. Don't ever ask without permission. Get the okay to mention the call. Make sure you review the list. Send the connection request. Really important. Okay, permission to name drop. Workflow. I'm not going to go through every slide, but you have this, right? If you go to socialsaleslink.com/beacon, right? Find and connect with your clients on LinkedIn, search their connections, schedule a conversation, review the names, engage on their content. It's all right here, step by step. And the bottom line, and then what best practices, make sure you follow up with every one of, with your client and let them know how every one of these conversations happened. So I'm open to conversations. I'm just really excited. We're launching a new product in the next couple of weeks. It's a 12-week LinkedIn Sales Accelerator. It's not ready now, but if you're interested, go to socialsaleslink.com/notify me. I'll put that in and then we'll notify you when it launches. So can I open this up to questions? Well, before I do that, in chat, tell me if number one, I picked up tips I'm going to use. Number 2, this was interesting. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do yet, but I liked it. Or number 3, man, that was a waste of my time. So 1, 2, or 3 in chat would be great. I would just love to know how we did today. Notify me. Okay. Oops, I just sent that just to Darren. Oops, Darren must have sent me. Here, we're going to go this. Oh, thanks. All 1 so far. I love that. Usually I get a couple 2s in there, but I love this. This is awesome. Good, good, good. So I did get a question. Like Darren, if you, it's a long question. If you are interested, can you raise your hand or just either unmute and just share it with everybody?
Sure, I'll do that. I thought I wouldn't bother everybody with the question, but sure. So I've been trying something on LinkedIn, and I just kind of wanted to hear from you whether you thought it was interesting or probably a waste of time. I've been looking at the Business Journal, and they a lot of times feature people for things, or they have their best of lists. And so I quickly look through. I have Sales Navigator, so I'll look through. I'll make a little list of those people. I'll see who I'm connected to, and if I am, I'll use my InMail, which I know doesn't have the best
Has a terrible response rate.
open rates,
It's around 7%.
but I'm accumulating them, so I figure I got to use them for something. And I just reach out and congratulate the people. We have a bunch of connections in mind. If my network can ever be of assistance to you, please don't hesitate to reach out. And that's kind of it.
Yeah, so it's interesting. 90% of what you're doing is great. I don't like InMail. I'd rather connection request. But, back in the day, I used to get the Business Journal. We'd literally cut it out, stick a post, congratulating them with our little business card and mail it to them. So that's all we're really doing, right?
Yep.
I prefer a connection request with a personal note. Just read the Business Journal, really impressed with X, Y, and Z. I don't open my network to anyone until I've had a conversation. And I'll tell you, when someone says to me, look through my network, I'm happy to open and help you out. And they don't know me yet. Are they doing that to everyone? So now they're going to give my name out to other people. Like, my first reaction is yuck. So I would pull back from doing that. That was a little harsh. I apologize, but stop doing it. But, but there are other things that you can do. Like, you can congratulate them and connect with them, and then follow up in a couple of days or a week with a really good third-party content that relates back to the award they won, or relates back to where they were listed, or a podcast specifically for people like them. Like, you can start a conversation around value that's not like, hey, like, I would disconnect. If someone says that to me, I disconnect, because I don't want to be the one. I don't want to be the victim of them constantly introducing me to people and I don't have a relationship with them. And so when you're dealing at a high level, you may be getting people with a similar reaction.
Interesting. Okay. I never thought of it that way. Thank you.
Awesome. Mark.
So I'm like you, Bryn. I don't connect. I only connect with people that I've spoken with or communicated with. So from my perspective, I don't know how others feel, but if someone reaches out with a connection request as the very first thing, I mean, that's a flag for me. Like, oh, are they just collecting connections? Versus if they did an InMail or something that said, hey, I'd like to get to know you better without the connection request. We'll do that later. For me personally, I react better to that. What do you think?
Well, I don't connect with anyone unless I've engaged on content or they've engaged on my content. So I'm not building a list of people. In this particular case, if you build it off of, so InMail to me looks spammy. You can decline or accept. It just looks, to me, it looks more spammy than a connection request. If you have a personal note, like just saw you in the Business Journal, I would engage on their content first if they have content, right? I would try to warm it up before the connection request. But I typically don't do any cold outreach, that there has been some engagement before.
Right. Yeah, I agree. That's engagement on some level. We know this person in common. I love this content. Without a connection request is what, that.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, there are in some cases they don't have content to engage on. It's not like I've never done it, but when I do it, I put context around it. Like, why am I reaching out? The fact that I saw you in the Business Journal warms it up a little bit more that you've got that. But again, that's not my MO. Like I typically wouldn't do that, but I'm more in line with you, Mark. But so if you do want to directly connect, visit their profile, engage on something, like maybe have 3 or 4 touches before you
Right.
send the connection
Exactly.
request. Harriet,
So does other people have questions? Because I don't want to usurp if other people.
they're not raising their hand, so the stage is yours, my friend.
Okay, great. First of all, I mentioned in the chat that I worked with you privately and it was very helpful, and that you work with companies. And it's just to let people know, that this is really helpful in working with you.
Thank you. I loved working with you. You were so fun.
Likewise. So here's my question. I have never put anything paid out on LinkedIn, and I'm debating on whether to do it. So have you done that where you're like, hey, I'm running a 4-week program. I don't know why I'm nervous to do this. Sometimes
I would do it in the inbox, and then I would not put a link. I would say I'm running a 4-week program. I thought this might be of something. Here's some of the takeaways. If this is of interest to you, let me know. I'm happy to send a link. Like, don't do that. But I will tell you, if you had it, I tend to have a free webinar to bring them in, and then I sell at the end.
Right.
So
Right.
that's a more preferred way, in my
Okay.
opinion, to do that.
Okay.
But like, if you reached out to me and said, hey, I don't know, I know you mentioned your phone distracts you. I'm doing a 4-week program that might help you with that. Right. But don't send the link. Just say, if you're interested, let me know. I'm happy to send a link.
Right.
This program, I'm trying to figure out now how to do it the right way and put it out there. And I keep coming back to free webinar, sell at the end. I'm kind of doing that now, except I don't have anything to sell. It's just to notify me.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, earn the right to give to ask.
My challenge is the majority of my connections are low level. So when I did this for free last year, everybody showed up, but it wasn't converting because they're just
Easy solution. Go to everyone that showed up, search their connections, find the high level people they know, and say, if you really enjoyed this, I'd love to get in front of these people. Are you able to help?
I got it. Thank you. Thank
Is
you.
that helpful?
Yeah, Venmo. I'll just Venmo you. Thank you.
At Bryn Tillman. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Megan.
Hi, Bryn. Thanks so much for this today. It's my first introduction to your work, and really beneficial. I wanted to see, especially if this is Beacon, who are the folks or people that would be helpful for us to connect with you? Like, who are some of your typical customers? Who
Me
gets
personally?
the most benefit? Yes, out of your business. Who gets the most business? Who gets some of the value that you can deliver that maybe we keep an eye and ear out for?
Thank you. So entrepreneurs, like I worked with Harriet and I work with a lot of people. And this is a program that's specifically for sales professionals and entrepreneurs. And we have a coaching membership. So $97 a month. We have 2 coaching calls a week where people come in. We actually have a complimentary one today. If anyone's interested, shoot me a link. I'll give you the Zoom to join. Shoot me.
So that's kind of coaching on a group basis.
Yes.
Right. So that might be a nice affordable option for some folks.
Yeah. And this is affordable too. This program is pretty affordable.
Gotcha.
Here, I can put that in. It's actually socialsaleslink.com/membership. There's a free membership, LinkedIn library, and then the gold, it's $97 a month. We have a lot of members, but we get about 15 to 20 people, and it's every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. and Thursday at 1 p.m. Some people pop in, ask a question, leave. Some people, that's the time where they're doing their email in the background. If they hear something that it's pretty engaging, and a lot of my clients are doing business with each other, which I love. So it's become a really great networking opportunity too.
That's Thank
and they're
you.
all recorded. And so you can go back and they're time stamped. So at, 127, they talk about polls and you're like, oh, I want to hear more about polls. You could just fast forward. So we do a really decent job of kind of of doing that. So would love, if you guys are interested in that. I also, my primary business has always been the entrepreneur sales professionals was sort of my pandemic pivot, because my primary business is like Aramark, Comcast, TD Bank, like I serving large companies, but I like this more. Don't tell them.
Well, one informs the other too, probably. Right?
Absolutely.
Right.
But for me, I'm very relationship driven. And
Okay.
the large companies, you've got, 75 sales reps on a call. You don't really get to know them, right? But when I do the coaching and the membership, and then individually, they're like, okay, this is exactly what for example, Harry could say, so I have 27 people that attend to this. What do? We on the call, look them up, find the people and here's the message. Like, we build that out, and there's extreme ROI and success on the coaching. And so that I feel that, I see that, I know the people that are affected by it. And it just brings me joy.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
Beacon is the premier executive networking organization serving the Mid-Atlantic region. To learn more, go to beaconforlife.org.